Hey guys, it's Jen from Creative Witch. I'm just going to hop on here quickly and we're going to talk about the week of May 18th to May 24th, 2025. I am a Western astrologer, and for the sake of this video, I'm going to be using the whole sign house system. I'm going to quickly share my screen here and we'll get right into it. So, we are just recently, as of yesterday, coming off a Uranus cazimi. So Uranus come into a conjunction with the Sun for the last and final time in the sign of Taurus. Uranus has been transiting the sign of Taurus since 2018. So the area of Taurus in your chart would have been through a major, innovative, new ways of doing things that is more authentic to the soul. For the last since 2018, Uranus has come into a conjunction with the Sun. And every year we kind of get like an upgrade in the Taurus area of our chart. This will be the final time that Uranus comes into conjunction with the Sun in this particular area of our chart. So we are like, going through one last push of this area that we are innovating. We could be gifted with new downloads and new ways to move forward that is more authentically aligned with where we want to go, especially in the direction of that particular area of your chart. Um, with that being said, we also have Jupiter in a sextile with Chiron here. So Jupiter doesn't necessarily like to be in the sign of Gemini. It expands on everything and it can expand sometimes on too many ideas. Um, and it could kind of have us a little bit scattered and lack the ability to kind of ground down in certain areas. But Jupiter and Chiron are in a very supportive aspect, which is a sextile, and it is gifting us with new ways and growth and wisdom when it comes to how we can heal those triggers that are within us that we all kind of carry, related to self. It's gifting us with new ways that we can ultimately grow and expand in this area, and how we can honor, our inner wounding, and how we can, learn new ways to not be so triggered or to react in a different manner when it comes to our triggers that Chiron can kind of bring on. Okay, with that being said, Jupiter is also in a square with the nodes. Okay, and this one is Jupiter is asking us to grow in the area of, past ways of doing things and future ways of doing things. And with Saturn here at the 29th degree mark that's just come out of the conjunction with the North Node, we are really being pushed to realign with ways that are highly spiritually important to us. Saturn is coming to keep score. This energy can kind of feel heavy if we've not been necessarily doing the work. It could come with tower moments that we might not have been prepared for. But if we are been doing the work and, getting into alignment with, who we are moving into that is spiritually centered within ourselves. This can be a time where we are just, go in a state of flow, like doing the work and in a state of flow. But Jupiter square here is, asking us to move out of outdated ways of doing things and to move into new ways that are more aligned with the direction that we're trying to head in. Then on May 19th, we have no, let's go back. Sorry, guys. We have on May 18th a square between Mars and Mercury. So, square aspects are like, a time of action. So Mars being over here can be, it's our desires, it's our action, it's our, it's the god of war, right? And Mercury is our mental thinking. So we could be, this is like, it's a harsh aspect between both planets. So we could be like quick to get angry, quick to, be verbally, not very nice with our speech, so to speak. Just to kind of be like mindful of that and maybe think before we speak and say things that we might regret, or, because speech can hurt. It's just to be aware of that transit that, we can just maybe move forward in a different way, that's not so emotionally or verbally combative. And then on May 19th, we have a moon opposite Mars. So what that means is the moon in Aquarius is somewhat detached, right? And we might be like, over here thinking about, ways of wanting to be emotionally relating, but, we're at odds with the actions that we're taking. So our emotional state and the actions that we want to take are at odds with one another. And then on May 20th, um, we have we have moon square the sun. So let me just go back and put this back into the sign of Aquarius here when it's actually happening. There we go. So we have Moon in Aquarius and the Sun in Taurus. Now, these two guys could be at odds. We could be, emotionally relating from an egoic space. We could have issues stemming from home. There might be some stress-related event that happens within the home because Cancer particularly rules the Moon, and the Moon traditionally, or Cancer traditionally, is the fourth house of home. So there might be something that's going on there that causes a little bit of stress. And then we have on May 20th as well, the sun is going to ingress into Gemini. So life is going to kind of speed up a little bit, right? Gemini is mutable energy. It likes to have a lot of things on the go. And it's going to illuminate the Gemini area of your chart. And of course, that differs for everybody. If you don't know your natal, if you don't know what your birth chart is, you can always go to astro.com, and it's free software where you can implement your birth data and it'll generate a chart for you. So for the next month, the Gemini area of our chart is going to be illuminated. And then on May 21st, put this on days here. May 21st at 4:59 p.m. The Sun in Gemini sextiles Neptune in Aries. Let me just see here. So, yeah, they're in a sextile. So we could be gifted with new insights, new spiritual downloads, new, ways of like spiritually moving forward, or new intuitive downloads is what I would like to call them, because Neptune is like highly spiritual, and the Sun in Gemini is highly mercurial, right? So we be gifted, and the sextile is a supportive aspect between both planets. So we may be gifted with a lot of intuitive downloads, or even with regards to, any creative ideas that we would like to move forward with. Could be a highly creative time as well. And then on May 22nd, we have Venus in Leo, or Venus in Aries, trine Mars in Leo. This is a fantastic transit. We will probably have more pep in our step. Venus in Aries is the pioneer, is the go-getter. So Mars in Leo likes to shine like the sun. So these are the cosmic lovers, right? And they're in a very harmonious aspect with one another. These lovers barely come, together in such a harmonious aspect. So there were seeds planted in and around February, but I think around February 24th of this year, that you would have, or last year, sorry, that you would have planted those seeds. You would have planted seeds in new areas of your life with how do you wanted to move forward with, ways of making money, or, maybe you were implementing a new value system, or, something would have to do with how you relate to other people or within your partnerships. We will now be seeing like, those seeds growing through the ground in a very positive way, right? We also see our love lives, being gifted with some great energy, with connecting in a very positive way with other people, or, being, highly creative as well. And it will feel like a little bit more energetic with this particular transit. We have probably maybe been already feeling this, like, like the way transits kind of work is we start to feel that energy moving up when the degrees of the planet become within orb of their conjunction, or within their conversation that they're having. And, we'll have this transit for a little while, like, and we've probably already been experiencing some more positive energy within the last week or so. And we will feel that moving forward, for the next little while as well. And then on May 23rd, excuse me, oops, we have it's 1:53 p.m. Okay, let's just go back here a little bit. Okay, we have Mercury trining the north node and sextile, or sorry, we have Mercury trining the south node and sextiling the north node. So we are basically learning, we're mentally processing, things from the past in very harmonious ways. Like, okay, well, thinking about how can I be doing different things differently and just be ground that particular like knowledge that we're kind of being gifted with. All these transits are kind of like gifting us with new ways to move forward, right? Like pushing us in the direction of the North Node, and that's the direction that we're moving in. And it's in a sextile with the North Node in Pisces. So it's offering support to move forward with those ideas and new ways of kind of moving the things that we want to move forward with within our lives. It's going to depend on obviously the areas of Virgo in your chart and Pisces in your chart, like to what areas that you kind of want to move forward with in a new direction and obviously affecting those with the nodal axis in Mercury or in Virgo and Pisces the most, and with people with degrees in and around that particular area within like, a few degrees. And then the last, but oh, wait a second. So May 24th, the moon ingresses into Taurus. And we ground down that energy. We just ground that down all the energy that we've been moving through this week in a very practical, grounded way. And we'll feel emotionally grounded and, more connected with our value systems and how we kind of want to, what we're going to emotionally need to move forward within that particular area of our life. And on May 25th, oops, days here. The last transit of the week, which is probably one of the biggest of the week, we have Saturn moving into the sign of Aries. So this is a big transit. Saturn's like the timekeeper, right? So Saturn's moved from 29 degrees Pisces, obviously, into Aries 0 degree mark. Now, Saturn doesn't necessarily like to be in the sign of Aries. Because Saturn is like, it likes to restrict things, right? Saturn likes us to slow down, to contemplate, to move with maturity, responsibility. He's the timekeeper. And Aries is that go-getter, act first, think later type energy, and, these two planets may kind of like, clash a little bit, but we've just wrapped up a 30-year cycle and we are implementing a new 30-year cycle this cycle of Saturn. It's going to take Saturn 30 years to move around the entire zodiac. So for the next 3 years, you're going to have Saturn basically wanting us to put our big boy, girl, and pants on in the Aries area of your chart. Now, obviously, that's going to depend. It's going to be a different area for everybody with regards to what Saturn wants to kind of teach us in that particular area of our lives. The quicker we get on board with Saturn themes, Saturnian themes, the quicker, things kind of like we learn the lessons of Saturn and we get gifted with more of a sense of maturity and responsibility. And Saturn can be, he can be, even though he's a malefic, and Saturn is for a night chart more malefic than a day chart. So those who are born at night are going to feel this transit a little bit more than say those that are born during the day. But Saturn will require the work, whatever area of your birth chart that Saturn is transiting, he's going to ask you to do the work. And that area may feel a little bit more like heavy or work oriented or, just having more of a drive to know that you need to do the work in that particular area of life. And that can, for some, feel a little bit heavier, more so than others. But Saturn gives us the confidence when we do the work that Saturn requires of us and, you know, excuse me, and we move forward with what Saturn is asking us to do. Anyways, I hope this week treats you all good. And until next time.